Hello again. Again, I'm back. Again, I'm back. Again, I'm back with a retake video. Is what I'm trying to say. I think. And as you can tell, even now I'm getting distracted. I've had a haircut. I've cut my hair a little bit, and it looks alright now. A second ago it didn't, and luckily, it's quite horrendous. It still needs some work, but it's what's going on in the back section. Uh, and Yeah, I know. I don't know. Maybe it needs a bit of layering or something back here. Uh, some stuff through here, maybe. But anyway, so first of all, right before we get into the topic of the video, the subject of the video, um, I just want to say I'm probably sorry if I am butchering these, um, because I think I am looking back now, like probably like a month in now at this point, maybe. Um, I look back and I'm like, yes, these these could be a lot better, but that's a good thing then, isn't it? Because it's like it could get better, I guess. I don't know. I remember telling this joke. I don't know if it was in one of these videos actually. So this is I'm messing this one even worse, than I? But I remember saying in one of these videos, I don't know if I released it, but I was like, what is it? It's like, oh, it could only get better from here, and it's like, well, no, it could stay consistently bad. And I was like, well, that's what they're saying. It's, yeah, it's still the same ring to it. I've just completely ruined a good joke. So hopefully in the future you'll hear that. I don't know if I'll ever release that monologue. I think it's like a behind the scenes thing maybe anyway. But anyway, the subject. Hopefully I'm holding your attention because I don't know, the video retention isn't great already. I'm sort of like slow because I thought I'll pace these things out. I'll have a bit of pace. I'll, make them slow and whatever. But it doesn't hold people's attention, does it? Um, but if you want energy, I'll bring you energy. I can be motivational. I can be energetic. You know, definitely. Anyway, so the topic of today's video is the anarchist school of thought. I don't know if that's what I'm going to title it, but it's quite a literal. It's one of these. It's not really a truism thing, because I know we sort of cover these truist words and that sort of thing, but I'm trying to actually combine words to sort of amplify their effects or whatever. But I guess school, I suppose, maybe is another one, because maybe now you go to schooling and that whatever, it sort of it loses. We've sort of lost that sort of meaning, maybe in modernity or whatever is it, if that's even a word, modernity, modernality. But but schooling is like when things are schooled together. It's like this idea in it. So I wanted to um, actually. I've always, I didn't go to university myself. I never went to university because I didn't really agree with it. I didn't want a load of debt, and I'm not the smartest guy, so I probably would have got kicked out and just be stuck with a load of debt or whatever. But I always did want to go to an art school or something. I mean, I didn't really think I ever would because I thought I'd be busy. Doing engineering or whatever or something like that. But I always did fancy the idea of art school, and I felt just the premise of them, see them in films and stuff, and foreign films and stuff, just look brilliant, and it's almost unreal. But that was another thing. It would never happen because they don't really exist anymore, and all these all these socialist infrastructures have sort of been scrapped. Um, and sold, and I don't know, a lot of facilities, things that sort of facilitate humans, are sort of out the window these days, and they're sort of taken over by corporations, which I think is a massive shame. And it's not worth it, and it's not even nearly as genuine. And the funny thing is all of these sort of systems, which which they sell, these conservative capitalists or people sell, they seem to keep for themselves, isn't it? They seem to keep those sort of structures and their traditions and stuff. It's like, oh, it's all right for the rich, but you won't see it for the public anymore, which is, I find, a bit weird. Anyway, so I wanted to create this sort of art school. Quite recently I came up with this idea. I wanted to create this art school for a place for people to go, because when you're a young person or even an older person, because this is another thing, education shouldn't you shouldn't really be rushed into education. I don't think. I think learning is forever, and it should be in culture and in society. I know we're very busy people, but we should be able to just go into places of like study. If you're of an inquisitive mind or whatever, you just go to the sort of your palladiums and your sort of your libraries, and then you have your scholars and all these sorts of things, and you learn stuff like that, rather than it being like quickly like get into it, then get into work and stuff, and then you're never going to see these sort of things again and stuff like that, you know. Because I just don't think I don't know. It's like weird. It's like, how do you process information that easily? I don't know. It's sort of journey, I think, of discovery. Because I don't know if we might be going off point here. But another thing, which I always think is kind of bizarre, is you go into school, right? And they ask you all the same questions all again and again and again. Every year it's the same questions, right? But I'm like, well, you got the answers in the book, right? It's like, we're not learning anything new here. No, I'm not being like an innovator. I'm like, I've got the answer. Oh, whoa, stop the presses, guys. I've got the answer. It's like, no, we've covered this stuff before, I'm pretty sure. So it's like, we're not innovating anything. We're just remembering stuff, which we could just look in a book and like find the answer. So I don't know. I don't think that's like the best use of time, but I feel like we should be inspiring and innovating. But anyway, that's just schooling, just general education. I don't know. I think it's a bit weird, honestly. Especially when you get down the line and they say, "Oh, well, actually, we're telling you a simplified version, which isn't actually true, and it's just to prepare your mind." What? What are you on about? But anyway, no. There's this idea that I'd wanted to create this sort of like cultural, artistic art school, right, for people to actually live and develop themselves. But it wouldn't just be. It would be like sort of like the Bauhaus or whatever, where it would be like the focus would be on sort of like engineering things as well. So you'd have a massive scale of work, sort of like all these sort of infrastructures, like physical and mental infrastructures. And I don't know if you mental infrastructure, that makes sense, right? Um, and sort of these like social, not economics, but uh, like infrastructures again, I suppose, and stuff, and like create posters and have all these different like movements and stuff. Because it's like it's. I personally think, um, there's what needs to be done, and obviously that's important. But then there's a higher element to life, which is the element of art and stuff, which gives like meaning to your day, something to actually work for. Because otherwise, it's just monotony and stuff, isn't it? And I don't know. I feel like it is important to have the the beauty and the practical. And I know a lot of like beauty comes from practicality and stuff, and vice versa. There is a lot of crossover, but I do think there is an important aspect to reality that isn't necessarily like not functional, but just like the things which you enjoy in life. Like your art and your poetry and your theatre or whatever, your dancing, stuff like this. But anyway, so this anarchist school of thought, I wanted to obviously make it an actual thing, but it already is a thing, and I know it may not be a physical place, but obviously like there is a school of thought which people sort of subscribe to, and I don't know. I'd like to devise some sort of way where there would be like um, uh, like a is the word autonomous? I don't know, maybe, or maybe just like or maybe, but like maybe just like scattered amongst the minds of people, and actually put a name to it, and be like, yeah, we are all working on something. Whether it's and then at one day it would actually turn into a real place, um, and just produce things and produce like things that people need, and have a sort of like a movement and an ideology, and maybe branch off into different sort of categories and all these sorts of things. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just had this image of this sort of like, color scheme, I guess. I was like just really hung on to that, and yeah, it's just sort of dream of creating this alternative place. Um, but yeah, anarchy gets a like a quite a hard uh, uh, hard time, I guess, doesn't it? People always think, oh yeah, anarchy's like chaos, um, but it's really not. and it's just what they feed you. And realistically, capitalism has all the failings of anarchy with none of the benefits. So I always think that's a bit confusing, that they can even think to try and slag off anarchy. But I think, you know, why anarchy gets such a hard time is because it's so associated with anger. But to not actually have the anger is even worse, because it is a response to injustice. And you know that if you take away the anger, the injustice doesn't go away. But anyway, I don't know. But yeah, there's it's about production in my eyes, and yeah, I'd like to be making things, you know, in the background as a whatever my political ideology is. And you can't really fault that, I don't think. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can shift sort of the view, because it is so heavily ingrained in society that, you know, these people are bad or whatever. But, you know, it's you know, potentially it can benefit people, couldn't it? Anyway, so I don't know. I think I've run out of things to say, really, and I don't really think I've actually touched on what I wanted to do. Yeah. I don't know. I suppose I'll go into more of my political ethos of anarchy, because now anarchy means no masters or no rulers, right? So you might say, how would an anarchist school work? Especially seeing as anarchists are quite classically the people who get kicked out of places, don't they? And sort of they're forgetful and unruly. So how would you actually work an anarchist school? Well, primarily I'd say it would be a school of ideas, a school of thought. You know, we dispute those points and pursue those points and argue those points, because I'm sure there'd be plenty of arguing to do. And it would work on that, really, like the more present problems and premises, and sort of like sort of push those things and sort of work those ideas into different like premises, I guess. But also, I would like to recognise that there is such a thing as qualifiers, you know, and like something can be proven, something can be finished and stuff like this, and you can earn like titles and all these sorts of things. So I believe there's two different types of masters. Do you know what I mean? There's masters in the art, and then masters in the sense that, you know, like they're sort of like you're a captive of the idea. Because the way I think schooling should work really is you should do stuff because you're interested and you're motivated and stuff, so you want to learn rather than you're being forced to learn, and that's the difference, isn't there? So there's no disputing that some people are masters, you know, but the difference is one master will potentially tell you what to do despite being right or wrong, and you know, you'll argue with them and they'll keep forcing it down your neck, sort of thing. And the other one they'll shut up, and you know, if you like slag them off or something, they just won't tell you anything, you know, because you want the information from these people and you want to learn from these people, and you know, they'll actually have you learn it as well from inside of yourself, rather than like just like keep bombarding you with information which you don't really necessarily understand. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not saying people don't learn things and stuff, but I'm definitely saying there are masters out there, and I don't know, I feel like we should recognise them. We shouldn't be ignorant of that, because, you know, otherwise we will forget a lot of mastery as well, I guess. So maybe there would be masters, but I think they'd probably be pretty down to earth people, pretty experienced, pretty genuine people. Because especially in engineering, you see that a lot of these people, they will sort of like take the mickey out of you, sort of thing. They could be quite funny and whatever, and quite hard people as well, but generally like pretty well to do, well-meaning sort of decent people that you'd want to have in your life, you know, that you can fall back on, and you know they'll do favors for you, stuff like this, and you know you wouldn't necessarily want to piss them off in any sense of the word. Yeah, I guess, and that completely is alternative to, you know, what we see in the capitalist world, which is, you know, just horrible bosses and people being like exploited necessarily, and you know, depersonalized franchises and all these sorts of things. So you know, it's the, you know, it has been proven that, you know, there is better ways to life. And I know what I prefer for sure. But anyway, hopefully, yeah, if there is this common ideology and people are having the same thoughts, I'd like to sort of, you know, collect these thoughts and actually try and actualize it into some sort of franchise, I guess, collective. And then, you know, you won't have to necessarily be doing everything, one, on your own, and two, something which is already sort of covered. And you know, we can make leaps and bounds in the field of social science or whatever, so whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. Society definitely needs a bit more of a cultural flair again, I guess. There are common movements at the moment, but I feel like folk art and all these sorts of things are, even in the last 10 years, aren't as prevalent as what they might have been in previous eras. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like we shouldn't neglect that. But alternatively, you do see a lot more painters and illustrators and even musicians and stuff these days. So I do think there's definitely a lot of room for it. So if you like the sound of this sort of thing, and you might not think, well, politically it isn't where I stand, but you know, I'd still like to be a part of an artistic movement, then potentially we can explore this idea, and you can have your own little school, and maybe we'll just think of some sort of new. Would it be education? Or would it be sort of like pursuit of knowledge or whatever? Or maybe just some, what I'm saying is we might work out some actual other framework, some structuring for, you know, a modern education system or something as well, just for the people and for adults and for students as well, whoever, you know, because I do think when we go to universities or colleges or whatever, you get quite sick of it, I suppose, and it's never ending as well. And education and stuff is supposed to be interesting and enjoyable. So maybe if you do enjoy these things, you know, it would be nice to have an alternative thing just to fall back on, which isn't as stressful, you know, and potentially more rewarding as well, which would be the irony, wouldn't it? If you weren't like gearing yourself so heavily to make money, but if, you know, the products were better, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Anyway, so take that on for whatever you think it's worth, whatever, and give us your feedback, I suppose, and hopefully we can do something about it. But yeah, I've definitely got my interests in it, so that's one thing, I guess. Hopefully we'll form something or something like that. But yeah, all right, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the other common videos. I've got plenty in the works as well, so you might be thinking, well, this is a bit dodgy, but it will get better. It will get better, hopefully. So yeah, thank you, and I'll see you later.